Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the studio tonight. So tonight, thought I'd paint a nice little boat set out just on the shoreline. I had such fun painting the last boat I did on here that I couldn't help myself. I had to find another picture to paint, and this is what I've come up with. I have just done a quick drawing of that boat here on a piece of paper. This is a piece of B paper, 140 pound. And I am going to be painting with my Holbein paints this evening. My color card, I'm just going to set that up there so I know what I'm talking about. And here are my colors. I like to have them this way. Hope you'll be able to see all of those. I'm going to start off by, let's see, maybe I can put, well, I'll refer back to this picture from time to time. Oh, I've got some dirty colors here. I'm going to start by doing a quick sky up here. I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt blue for that and just mix that in. Maybe just a touch of gray in there to dull that down a little bit. That looks like a nice sky. There, I'm going to pull that down just over that mountain a little bit. I'm using a quill brush. This is one I've had for quite a long time. This is a faux squirrel hair. This is the Princeton Neptune brush. And while I wait for this to dry, I'm just going to pull that down. While I wait for this to dry up just a little bit, I'm going to mix up a little bit of color here. I'm going to take just a little of my Terra Verte and mix a little bit of my cobalt blue in with that. That's going to give me a nice bluish green here. That'll be good for some background hills back here. Just very basic, and I'm going to actually blue that down a little bit more. Got a couple hills over here, one back here way in the back. I should say I'm doing this all on a little incline here. Hopefully that's going to allow the paint to flow down this way a little bit if I don't mix up my paints too wet. Should work. There we go. That can come in front. Just got to keep this a little bit drier, something like that. I think that'll be fine. Dry this off. I haven't used this brush in a long time. You can see I'm getting a little bit of some drying up there. It's a little interesting effect. So now I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine because I've got some water to put in here. Just going to splash that across. There we go. I'm not going to do every little bit of this. I want that water to break a little bit. Come on, give me a little bit more color than that. There we go. And I'm going to get a little bit of, what do I got here? Burnt sienna. I need to get my brush a little bit wetter. I should say, I'm trying to really maintain the amount of water I have because this brush, these synthetic hairs, really hold the water in here. And just the slightest little bit of water that you get out of your water tray up there will go so long with this. You'll be putting water on for days. It's so good holding the water. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow ochre in here too. If there's a little bit of green mixed in, I'm okay with that. I go down here. Just getting some nice shape to our land here. It doesn't look exactly like it does in the picture. We've got some rocks and whatnot, but we've got this nice bit inside here. We're going to work with that a little bit. Now, actually, I've gotten on a little too thick here. I do want to see if I can pull this out a little bit. I want to keep some of that warmth in the front. There we go. Looks like we're on a little bit. Oh man, I just touched it. Oh, looks like we're on a little bit of a hillock here. Just a little bit of it. Trying to keep a little bit warm. Not too much. Here I know there's a bit of green right around this boat. Maybe there's a little sand, a little bit more sand on this side. And back behind us, a little bit more of our burnt sienna and our light red. Maybe just a touch of that yellow ochre. Just right around our boat. Just trying to get that line really nice. Pretty good right there, I think. All things considered. And right around our boat. Okay, and I'm going to grab, oh, what color do I want to make this boat? This boat's a little bit dark for me. I'm going to grab a little bit of Prussian blue. You know what, I'm not going to be able to use this brush for this. I'm going to go to this brush, which is a sable round brush. I think this will give me a little bit more control here. And if these two colors meet in the grass in front of the boat here, I'm totally fine with that. That's just going to help with our shadow. I think up on the top of this boat, up on the upper half, I think what I'm going to use is a little bit of cerulean up here. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, that's not so bad. Let's see, I can get into that little tiny spot there, and with a little luck, I can leave the line on my boat. There we go. I think I'm going to come back in and get the rest of this right along that bow in just a second. What I am going to do is mix up a little bit darker. I'm going to use my mineral violet and a little Prussian blue to make a dark purplish color. And I'm going to use that on the inside here for a nice dark shadow color. Leave my seat. I have a little seat I've drawn in. I didn't do it exactly the same as this, but I did it similar. It's just a plank in here for a seat, really. I drew two of them. I'm just going to leave it. Let's see. I'm going to leave it as a plank, both of them. I drew two in mine. Let's see. Oh, I'm just going to go over that. I'm trying to do this in a little strange position. I hope that my head is not in the video here as I'm reaching around from the side to paint this in. Just trying to be a little bit careful. I don't want to be too careful. I don't want to be too cautious when I do this. I want it to be kind of free flowing a little bit. I'm trying to let go with a lot of worrying about getting this color right and that color right, and it kind of makes me nuts a little bit. So I'm trying to let my colors be the colors on the palette and express what I want them to. And while I do that, just use broader strokes, bigger strokes. Let the picture tell the story instead of me trying to tell the story. I guess that's the way I think of it when I do this, is the boat has to tell the story, not me. I can do a little bit, but it's the boat in this picture that's going to tell the story of what it's doing out here. All right, so as I've been fiddling around with our boat here, you can see it's starting to come together. We've got another layer of paint that we need to put on. I'm just trying to feel. I think my water here is pretty good. I'm going to mix up, kind of a, you can see it here, it's a brownish blue, because we've got in this bay here, we've got some rocks that stick out a little bit. Something like this. This is a little greener than I thought it was going to be. That's totally fine with me. That's going to give us a little added depth here. I can blue that down just a little bit. There we go. It's going to give a little bit of a shadow on there. And we've got in the water, I'm going to make that really more red-ish. Some rocks that come in out here somehow. And a little bit of that blue on there also. That Prussian blue right over top of our water should give a little bit of shadow on there. Make it look maybe like a little bit of reflection. And I'm going to use some straight ultramarine here. Come on, ultramarine. And I'm going to draw a couple of lines out on the water. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do really lightly, just about as light as I can, a line back here that is just, in fact, it's not even going to hit the whole thing. It's just going to denote our far boundary of the water, and then some other little bit of lines that maybe are bigger waves out there. That looks pretty good. And as I come towards the front, I'm just going to drop in a couple of bigger ones here. All right, I don't want to do too much on the water. I don't want to take away from our boat at all. What I want to do, though, is come back into my Prussian blue and put another layer on this boat. I want this to be nice and dark. Look at our reference photo. That bottom of that boat is really nice and dark down there, so I want to get that feeling back. Come on, Prussian blue. A nice, strong color. Okay, and while I'm doing that, there, I think that's pretty good there. You know what I need to do? I can see it right up here. I need to fill that little bit in there. Perfect, good. And what I'm going to do is find a green that I like. I'm going to use a little, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use a little bit of my Viridian, a nice, strong green. It might be too strong of a color. And I'm just going to dull it down with just a bit of my yellow ochre here. And I'll bet you that when I touch it to my Prussian blue, it'll just pull out enough for a nice shadow line. I'm gonna get that kind of straight. And there it goes. I think that it's gonna make a nice shadow for us right there. I'm okay if that's gonna be a slightly different color than what's around it, because the boat's casting that direct shadow right there. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to mix into that Prussian blue down here some of my mineral violet, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to re-darken the shadows inside this boat. Just on the bottom down here, in the deepest part of that boat. I'm going to get my brush mostly dry. I'm just going to pull a little bit of that away. There we go. Now it looks like you can look right into that boat. All right. So now we've got a few things to do. We've got, a little bit of our meadow or our shoreline out here to deal with. Let me grab some more of this. What do we got? Burnt sienna here. I'm going to mix a little bit of, well, what I want to mix in it is this one. Permanent yellow. If I look at my reference photo, I've got a lot of this really light stuff up here. And this isn't all that dark. I think I could put a nice, kind of orangey brown on top of that. Now I can barely see the pencil lines I've got here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to this hill. I've got this too wet, I can tell you. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do it with this brush. Just a little dry brush action on the side here. I don't think this is going to work. I need a little bit more bristly brush. Let's see if I can find one here real quick. What do I got that's got some stiff bristles in it? This one, no. I'll just use this. This is I don't know what this is. I don't know, Lowell, Cornell, just a fan brush anyways. There's not much to it. I'm just going to dip it in here and get most of it off. Then you can hold this up and just tap. This is where I always feel like Bob Ross when I'm doing it. This, for those of you who remember Bob, I just tap that on there. You get some nice texture, especially right along the top of this. And we're going to come back with a little bit stronger mixture right along there, so I have enough to blend it down just a little bit. Now you can see I've got just a little bit over the ridge there. Maybe you can't see. Let me zoom in. Maybe you can see. Let's see. Zoom in a little bit. See, I've just got just a little bit over that ridge right there. All right, zoom back out again. Come into focus, camera. There, I think that's in focus. And I'm going to do the same thing on this ridge, a little closer to me, but I'm going to add a little bit of green to it this time. Just going to change that color a little bit. That might be a little too green. We'll just put some of that red right back in it. Going to be real trying to be real spontaneous with this. I don't necessarily want a pattern. I just want you to be able to see that there are different colors going on here. And the different colors are going to make it look like there's a little hillock there. I'm going to put a little bit of paint out here. Come on, come back to me, point. There we go. Just a little bit out on the edge. As we get closer into our boat here, we've got to get a bit greener and a bit greener. Oh, look at what I ended up with. It was a green pretty close to what I started with there. I want to lighten that up a little bit. Go back to my bigger brush here. Let's see. Get some more of this green in there. So I want to be able to spread this a little bit. Right along there, right along the bow of that. I'm going to dot in some other colors here, maybe a little bit of red. I'm not really painting at this point, I'm just putting in a few dots. Your eye, when it sees it, is going to conclude that these are weeds standing up right here. They're going to do a lot of my work for me. I'm going to put a few over here, just like I've got. Except over here, I'm going to mix in a lot more of my yellow ochre. Come on, yellow ochre. Just like that. You know what I need? I need a little bit more something out here behind that boat. That looks so much better. Now there's some texture back there. There's something going on. All right. A little bit down in front of our boat here. Just going to mix in a couple of colors. That's going to gray that down nicely. And just I'm going to dab in here a little bit. Maybe there's something going on in the front we're not privy to in this picture, but we can definitely see it when we paint it. Some lighter greens, some darker greens, some more vibrant greens. But all along there's that boat right in the center. I think what I want to do is just, before I call this one done, I'm going to tighten up my blue here a little bit. I think we can do that for the boat. And I need to paint in my seats. My seats aren't really white. There they go. I can leave my railing white here. I think I can do that. You know what though? It's kind of worn down a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of color on there. I can tell it's worn. It's an old boat. It's been kicking around for quite a while. Got a few knocks, a few dings here and there. It's not totally white. And what it does have, because I saw it in a picture, it was a close-up a little while ago. It's got, that's too small. I need one a little bit bigger than that. It's got indications of where it's put together. There we go, just a few lines. Don't need much. Just a line here, a line there. Something to help us say that this boat has been around for a long time, kicking around in this bay. It's had a hard life, and it's about ready to retire, I think. I'm not sure, but if I were this boat, I think I'd be just about ready to retire. Let's sop up a little bit of extra water here that I don't want to form a back run. I think I'm going to call this one done. Let me pull this tape off so we can get a good look at this. There's 1, 2, which one goes next? 3, and 4. There's my little boat, nicely framed. Here's what it came out of. Actually, a frame. I'm glad I mentioned a frame. Look, if I were to frame that, that would look lights out. Anyways, that's it. Had a great time painting with you. Hope you enjoyed painting with me. I hope to see you back here in the studio again soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.